Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, colleagues, friends, good morning. It's a privilege and honor to represent the National Bank of Moldova at this event. We gather here at this conference that has become an important platform for discussions and innovations in the last 5 years. I'm delighted to see representatives of the financial sector, of the IT companies, of the international development organizations, regulators, fintech startups, all gathered under one roof. Your presence today is a testament for your commitment for driving financial innovation and inclusion in Moldova. Fintech, as you know, is not just about technology. It's about transformation, innovation, and above all, it's about people. It's about how we can use the power of technology to create a financial environment that is effective, inclusive, and catering for every individual in our society. I would like to use this time in front of you to convey you two perspectives. One related to the agenda of the National Bank when it comes to fintech, and the second one, I will actually zoom out of Moldova and try to give you a flavor of how other central banks around the globe see the fintech industry. Now, let's start to speak about the agenda of the National Bank first. One of the most important initiatives we've embarked on is the development of the account-to-account instant payment solution. Our vision in the near term is to revolutionize person-to-person payments in Moldova and the way we, people, pay each other. Starting February 2024, we're launching an instant payment system, and the preparatory work is in full swing, together with the banks and payment system providers. Now picture this. No matter which bank or payment system provider you're a client of, you'll be able to transfer money instantly to anyone in the country. And the cherry on the top, it's absolutely free. To ensure a unified user experience, we've streamlined the design. Regardless of your bank or PSP, you will encounter a very similar look and feel. Exactly as Georgi said, the customer is very centric to our solution. And how does it work? You can make a transfer using a phone number or a QR code. Our objective is crystal clear: a seamless, efficient, and universally accessible payment system for every Moldovan. It should be as easy as cash is. Now, let's talk about PSD2 and open banking. It's this unique European payment directive that we transposed into a Moldovan law last year, and that it's an enabler for open banking and innovation. At its core, as you all know, open banking is about giving you, the customer, control over your financial data. It means you can share your data securely with any third-party providers other than banks, leading to more choice, better products, and smarter financial decisions. A shining example is the UK, where the open banking has unlocked an array of personalized financial services, fostering competition and innovation. This initiative will follow after the instant payments launch and is also scheduled for 2024. Now, our international ambitions are also taking a tangible form with our SEPA application. By aspiring to join the single euro area payments in 2024, we aim to simplify euro transfers for Moldovans, making them as simple as domestic local transactions. Such integration means cheaper, faster, and more efficient transactions for people and businesses. Lastly, we've established a dedicated fintech department at the National Bank. This new team is committed to ensure that we, as regulators, are approachable and in tune with what the market needs, and we are proactive enablers of innovation in financial products. Together with all the other great teams at the National Bank, we strive to be a regulator that, besides risks, tries to see opportunities and even drive innovation for the benefit of the citizen. This is all I wanted to convey about the agenda of the National Bank. As I mentioned before, I would like to spend a few minutes now talking about how fintechs abroad are seen by other regulators, which are perhaps more advanced in this topic than Moldova currently is. This might be useful to know how our own future and challenges might look like in a few years. I will mention a few success stories that served as an inspiration for the National Bank of Moldova, but also some concerns that are not yet on the Moldovan regulator radar. The global fintech promise is about crossing geographical, socioeconomic, and technological barriers to offer financial services in a very easy fashion to everyone. For instance, in rural India, fintech platforms such as Paytm, that specialize on instant payments, have brought payments to the pockets of individuals. Think about it. Until recently, we are not even documented by the state and obviously didn't have even a bank account. The same thing is happening in Brazil, China, Thailand, and many other emerging economies where people open bank accounts. Otherwise, they simply feel excluded. They are not able to receive a micro transfer from a neighbor, or they are not able to buy a coconut on the beach. However, as we democratize access, associated risks multiply and change. Cyber threats, frauds, low levels of financial education of the newly banked people, and new fintech startups that have very different levels of corporate governance from the traditional banks are all a major concern for the Western regulators. Another fintech topic on the global agenda is the threat posed by the big tech, the Apples, the Amazons, and the Googles of this world. Now, problems is not the first thing that comes to mind when you speak about these great and amazing companies. Why is this a concern? Let me explain. We all know that the topic of traditional, we all know about traditional banks wanting to go digital, to be more agile, to hire more IT people, close branches, and moving everything to the app to create a digital experience. Effectively, it's a top priority for any modern bank to become more like a tech company. But now imagine the reverse. Google tries to offer the full spectrum of financial services. And I'm not talking about just Google Pay. Effectively, the reverse would be happening. A tech company would want to become a bank. Now, which one do you think would be faster to achieve its mission, to transform? Big tech companies have solid financial resources. They historically have been almost unregulated. They have a global customer base of billions, employ top talented engineers, and of course, they know more about ourselves. They know more about us than we know ourselves. They also come from a culture of moving fast and breaking things. I guess it's easy to guess that as a regulator, you'd rather deal with a more conservative physical bank located in your country with a slow-growing consumer base rather than supervise a Silicon Valley-based entity that comes from an entirely different world. One might argue that regulators simply love banks and favor them. The real concern, however, is the monopolistic power these players have. In our simplified example, Google could start providing financial services overnight to a few billion of its current customers. A bank could never simply do that. Overnight, we could end up with a too-big-to-fail company that yesterday was not even a bank. But today, regulators have to ensure that all customers are protected in the same fashion that the customer of a bank currently is. Let's take another example related to Uber and its first years in operation when it was launched. In the first years, Uber was engaging in price wars to capture market share by providing rides below the cost it was paying its drivers, so basically paying drivers more than it got from its customers. Why it was doing that? It had the ability to sustain prolonged period of losses, and that was done simply to drive out competition. Now imagine the same thing happening if a big tech enters a small market like ours by just providing financial services free of charge for an extended period of time. It might simply drive out all the other competition and later raise prices to a high level as a monopolist. Now, the last global issue I wanted to touch upon is the use of novel technologies, such as blockchains. This also came to the radar of the central banks with the emergence and popularization of cryptocurrencies. Everybody started to ask this question: what is money? Back in 2005, when I was an economics student, not even the most passionate students wanted to discuss outside of the monetary policy class what is money. What's happening today? Everyone and their dog debates. Is fiat money good? Should it be backed by gold? Are banks printing too much? Shall we store wealth in crypto? Today, technologists, innovators, futurists are offering new answers to the question of what is money. Some say it's the future. Money and finance will be provided by a few big tech companies. Others dream of a decentralized system in which blockchain and algorithms replace people, money, and institutions. And maybe it's all happening in the metaverse. Now, what do central banks think about it? The answer is simple. Central banks certainly appreciate mostly the new technologies behind these innovations. However, they argue that trust in money can't be replaced by technology only. Central banks, legal systems, and public authorities are the glue that keep the monetary system together. That is why the more advanced central banks are trying to take the best of both worlds by working on central bank digital currencies, which use new blockchain technologies. The goal is to issue a digital representation of the respective currency. I would say that various countries are at various stages, but no country yet has a large-scale CBDC deployment. What do we do? Moldova is closely watching these developments, and I can assure you that if this experimental technology picks up, we will not be late and will not be an outlier, and we might follow. For now, however, we focus our resources on instant payments and open banking. Let me start concluding. Things are moving fast, both in Moldova and abroad. Today's conference provides a unique platform to engage and learn from all the leaders, to share your thoughts, and above all, foster partnerships that will pave the way for a more inclusive future for our beloved Moldova. Thank you, and I wish you all a productive and successful event.